Annyeonghaseyo, my name is Katie and I'm super late to this, but I'm finally going to be reviewing W2 Worlds. Normally I do try and get reviews out like right as the drama finishes. My Wi-Fi went down the very day that the last episode of W was supposed to air, and then I ended up in like a 2-week drama slump, which was totally terrible. I was just doing other stuff and school started, and then I'm like, oh wait, I haven't even finished W. So I just finished W last night. So if you haven't heard of W2 Worlds, I don't know where you've been because it's literally taken over the drama world. It's a comedy, melodrama, fantasy, romance, supernatural drama that stars Han Hyo-joo and Lee Jung-suk. And it's about a woman called Oh Yeon-ju whose father is a webtoon artist. And one day she gets sucked into the webtoon and saves the life of the main character, Kang-chul, played by Lee Jung-suk. And afterwards she keeps getting sucked into the webtoon for unknown reasons, and she finds out that the webtoon is kind of taking a life of its own and her father no longer has control over it. So this drama is absolutely crazy. It's probably one of the most surprising dramas I've watched this year. In many ways, one, I was not expecting it to be this good. I mean, I was anticipating it because I've never heard of a concept quite like this, but I was also just not expecting it to be as exciting as it was. This drama had a lot of great things going for it. I actually loved it. It's probably one of my top dramas this year. Hannah and I were actually planning to do a review discussion together, which might still happen, but I figured I should get a spoiler-free review out first, and if that happens, great. That may happen, I don't know. I'm not gonna make promises I can't keep. Anyway, W, first of all, the plot was crazy. Like I said, our female lead is getting sucked into the webtoon, and she's meeting and kind of falling for the male lead of the webtoon, which it's kind of like a time travel drama. It's likely not gonna end well because they're from two different worlds. And of course the plot was crazy. Like, I'm serious, every week I was making insane guesses as to what was going on or what might happen, and it's funny because some of them were right, but then there were other ones where I was just completely wrong. I wasn't sure what to expect. There was like a huge plot twist at the end of most episodes, and it was just very fast-paced overall. Some episodes we did kind of get a break and things were slower, which I think was actually needed because the plot was moving so quickly at times that it was almost hard to keep up unless we had those slower episodes. So I actually think that was a good decision on the writer's part to add in some slower, relaxing episodes. I just think it helped pace the show and help keep things straight. As for the characters, I loved Oh Yeon-ju and Kang-chul. I don't think I've seen Han Hyo-joo in anything. She is actually a very well-known actress in Dramaland, but she's kind of been on a break for a while, and she was actually great. I really liked her as a female lead. I didn't find her annoying, which I find a lot of female leads annoying, which is sad because I want a good female lead. I thought she was a very good one. She was actually very rational most of the time, which is impressive considering the situations she was in. And then of course Lee Jung-suk. Oh, I love Lee Jung-suk. This is like his first big drama project since Pinocchio, which I loved him in Pinocchio. He was great. That was actually one of the first dramas I watched as it was airing, so this is kind of fun coming back to Lee Jung-suk 2 years later. Yeah, he was fabulous. He does a really good job of picking dramas with good scripts. Every drama I've seen him in, which I have not seen all his dramas yet, but every drama I have seen him in has been pretty darn good. And he's just great anyway, and he's super attractive, and he had great hair in this show, and he was wearing outfits that like no one else could pull off, but he could, and it was just fabulous. Lee Jung-suk was awesome. I love him. The other actors were good as well. While the story did focus around Oh Yeon-ju and Kang-chul, there were side characters in the webtoon and out of the webtoon. I thought they all did a good job, and they played some interesting roles when it came to plot, which is kind of cool because side characters actually had an effect on the plot every once in a while, so that was really interesting. So yeah, the acting was good and the characters were really good too, especially since they were very complicated. Kang-chul, he seemed like a really great guy, just all around could do no wrong, but he did have some darker sides, which was really interesting because it made him more of a well-rounded character, which was especially cool because he was supposed to be a webtoon character, so it kind of added some depth to the story and it made things really interesting. I think one of the things that made this show really great was the execution. It was the little things that made this show believable. Well, you know, believable. I really liked the differences between the real world and the webtoon world. You could just tell there were subtle differences, whether it be in the setup of the sets. Like the webtoon world kind of had a more organized and perfect set. Things were where they were supposed to be. It was very clean cut. It looked like something you draw in a webtoon. And then the real world was a bit more messy and organic, which was really interesting because there were just small details like that that made a difference in the show. Things you wouldn't normally notice, but they did make a difference. Even like the colors people wore in the webtoon, they were more primary colors from what I saw, and like each character kind of had a color scheme, which if you go through the episodes you can kind of notice it. I actually saw like a whole big Tumblr post about it. It was super like well thought out and impressive. Whereas in the real world there were kind of color schemes among the characters, but there was like one character who did not have a color scheme, and there was actually a theory that character would be the the villain. I'm not gonna go into that because that would be spoilerish. But it was very interesting theory because there were little details in the show that played out as a big part of the plot, which doesn't always happen in dramas. You don't always have just those tiny things that actually end up being something big, and that was really cool. I also thought the balance of the show was really nice. It was a really interesting combination of supernatural and romance and lightheartedness, but then there were also really dark parts. Our characters really suffered in this show, and like I said, there were some slower episodes where lots of cute stuff happened, and I loved those episodes. They were really great. So it was actually really interesting in that sense because terrible things that you don't always see happen in dramas were happening left and right because we're going between two worlds where there's the real world and, you know, some bad things sometimes happen in the real world, and then there was the webtoon where pretty much anything could happen, and it would make sense because it's a webtoon that's being written. So the show was able to be unbelievable at times and yet still be believable because the webtoon is supposed to be kind of unbelievable. So the show overall kind of had a weird type of believability to it. Is that a word? Believability? Like, I haven't seen any other Korean dramas where a fictional character basically comes to life and meets our main character of the show. So this was just kind of a whole new concept in general, and there were so many options and so many places it could go, and I feel like the writer fully utilized all of the creative freedom she had with this. I believe this is the same writer who did Queen In-hyun's Man, which I have not watched yet, but I've heard that one is fantastic. So if you like that, I think you'll probably like W because that kind of had to do with time traveling, and this one has to do with dimension traveling. As for the soundtrack, usually I feel like soundtracks are a big part of dramas, and I do think that this drama had a very good soundtrack. I think it definitely added to the show, just was very atmospheric. This wasn't one of those shows that really needed to lean on the soundtrack as a crutch to make it a higher quality show. The show already had all of that great content to it, and the soundtrack was kind of like an extra addition. I thought it was very nice. I really liked the main theme song, and the instrumental pieces were really great, but it wasn't like the soundtrack was necessary to make W a better show. It was already a great show. I just think the soundtrack kind of added to that. So overall, W was super fun to watch. I can definitely say it's been a long time, or I have never theorized over a show this much. Like, I'm on mydramalist.com. You can add me as a friend if you would like to, but I'm friends with a bunch of people on my drama list and we discuss dramas. This is the first time I've discussed a drama this much because there were so many theories, so many possibilities that could happen. It drove you crazy waiting each week trying to find out what was going to happen, what was really going on, if your theories were correct. And this is just one of those shows where it was insane. I was super stressed out over it in like the best way. Like, it would be like the middle of the week and I'd be thinking about W and I'd have this theory pop into my head and I'd just get emotional over it. This show made me feel tons of things, made me think a lot, and it was just amazing because I have not come across a drama in a long time or ever that made me think about that. Especially as I've watched more dramas and have become more accustomed to plot possibilities and the tropes and things that typically happen in dramas. They've become more predictable for me, and this show was not predictable. Only some things were predictable, but it was just overall a very good show. I really enjoyed it. I may sound like one of those people who is majorly into W and hyping it up like crazy, but that's because I truly think it's a show worth watching, and I just thought it was very well done overall. So I would highly recommend it, especially if you want something that's exciting and new. So overall, I really enjoyed W. Leave a comment down below and let me know if you watched W and what you thought. Like I said, Hannah and I may still be doing a discussion, spoilery review. No guarantees. I'll talk to her about that. We'll see if that happens. That'll be pretty fun so we can discuss all the spoilers. For now, let me know if you've watched W and what you thought of it. Leave me drama recommendations, though to be honest, I'm just catching up on all the airing dramas right now because I fell behind during my drama slump, so I'm gonna do my best to catch up so I can review all of them when they end. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe, and Hannah and I will see you soon. Annyeong!